My guest today has been in the news both for good reasons and bad. He's made his mistakes, but he's paid for it like a man, and it hasn't affected his popularity one little bit. Today he's with me to talk about the high points in his life as well as some of the low points. Well, if you haven't guessed who I'm talking about, the answer is Fardeen Khan. Welcome to the program, Fardeen.
It's a pleasure.
Now, about a month and a bit ago, you got caught attempting to buy drugs and spent 5 days in police custody. As you look back on it, do you see it as a nightmare or as a learning experience?
A bit of both. When you get caught for something like that, you have all kinds of things going through your head, especially being in the business I'm in. But then you got to make a choice. Are you going to let it break you and break your spirit, or are you going to learn from it? And, it was a nightmare initially, for sure, yes. And you come out of it stronger. You think about what you've done, and I'm old enough to know what I'm doing. It's not like I do things without thinking. I broke the law. I got caught. Paid the price for it. I got to move on.
I don't want to rake over painful memories, but what do you regret most about it?
As I said in a statement, it was hardest on my family, and mother and father, sister, few people who love me. It was hard on them. For one, I'm sure. It's obvious they don't like to read things like this, but especially when you get caught up when you're facing a case against you, and especially a narcotics case, it's hard for them to accept, to just
Do you feel guilty about the pain you were causing them?
Oh yes, still do.
The most amazing thing was that the papers kept saying repeatedly that the police in fact were looking for a senior politician, maybe even a big celebrity singer. In a sense, did you also feel to yourself that, Christ, I was the wrong man in the wrong place at the wrong time?
No, never. As I said, you got to know what you're doing, man. We're all old enough and smart enough to know what we're doing. You get caught, you get caught. It was not today, it could have been another day, so.
Were you a serious drug user, or was it just a casual thing?
Casual, social.
Just bad luck that you got caught that day?
Just by what?
Just bad luck that you got caught that day.
Well, you can look back and say it was bad luck, but hey, I was breaking the law, I got caught.
Would you ever do it again, or have you learned your lesson?
Learned my lesson.
You're off it completely.
It's not worth it. That's something, everything involved, you come out of it thinking that it's just not worth it, more than it's not just a question of breaking the law, and it's more about the ultimate consequences to yourself, especially health-wise.
The sad part is you still have a case to have to face. Does that worry you?
Well, it'll take its own course. My offense has not been considered that serious, as in there are no. The only charge on me is of consuming or intending to purchase, to consume for personal consumption. So that's taken into account, and it'll take its own course.
And as you say, you broke the law. Now you have to face up to the rap you get.
Yes.
Drugs are something that young people all over the world at some point or another want to experiment with. What advice would you give them?
I'm not one to really give out a lot of advice. I hate preaching, to be honest. I would just ask people to know what you're doing. If you want to indulge in substance abuse, read on it, know the consequences. I think it's important for each one of us to be responsible for our own actions. That's a motto I live by. And if you're intending to do it, know what you're doing, and you're going to have to pay the price at some point or another.
You wouldn't forewarn them against doing it. You wouldn't say, look, I learnt the hard way.
Yes, definitely. It's not worth it, as I said. It's just not worth it when I look back on it and everything I went through and my family went through and everyone went through. It's just not worth it. But the bottom line is, I believe, with any substance abuse, whether you call it liquor, I consider liquor, alcohol abuse, as grave as substance abuse, illegal drug abuse. Even with something like liquor, drinking and driving, the deaths that causes and so on and so forth, they're grave consequences. You have to know the repercussions, the consequences of what you're going to do.
But you also said each person has to decide for himself ultimately.
Yes, I think you have to take responsibility for your own actions. I think that's the key.
You took responsibility for your own actions. You spent time in police custody. How much stronger have you emerged? How much emotionally more in control of yourself are you as a result?
I mean, I've always been emotionally strong, but it just kind of reinforces that strength more than anything. I mean,
Is there more grit in you today?
looking back, you know, you just feel like, hey, you can go through tough times. So.
Well, let's go back to the very beginning, way back before this happened. There's just you, your sister, and your parents. How close are you to your sister, Laila?
Very. There's just about a 18-month gap between us, and
She says that when you were young, you looked just like a girl, and she'd practiced makeup on you.
yeah, I used to be teased in school. I just had a little chubby round face, and at the time, Mary Lou Retton, I think she was a gymnast, the U.S. Olympic team. People used to call me Mary Lou. No one knows that actually. And yeah, so she experimented with me with makeup a few times. She was going through a stage where she was also experimenting with makeup for herself. So I was the perfect guinea pig.
So there you were with lipstick and mascara and rouge and everything.
In the privacy of our house, not outside.
Do you think you made a pretty girl when you were a child?
Did I make? I never really thought of that. Interesting.
As an only son, were you spoiled?
Not really, not really. My father came from very humble backgrounds, and he made it the hard way, you know, and he struggled a lot in life. So he
was a disciplining factor.
Well, more than anything, I mean, yeah, disciplining, sure, yes, but I mean, he wanted us to know the value of things more than anything, because he wanted us to face up to everything that might come our way. I mean, tomorrow there's a possibility of him not being there, and you know, he just wanted us to be grown up enough, and me being a boy at the time, he wanted me to be man enough to look out for things.
So even though you were star children, he kept your feet firmly on the ground.
Extremely, both my father and mother, yes.
There was a moment, however, when you were probably 10, 11, when you were playing with your cousin Farad's air gun, and you got into a lot of trouble, didn't you?
No, that was my air gun. I was just presented that air gun. My father had just come back from London, and he had just brought it back with him. And it was this new toy in my hand. You know, I've always seen my father with guns. You know, I've grown up around guns. He's been a gun freak. So I had my new gun, and it was this pump-action air gun. And I just got it. It was a few hours after I had got it, and I wanted to use it somewhere, you know. So I went up onto my terrace with my cousin Farah, and we were looking at possible targets, but everything seemed too boring. You know, if you shoot a coconut, we have coconut trees around the house. Shoot a coconut, I mean, nothing much is going to happen to it, you know.
So what did you choose to shoot?
My neighbor's car, the side screen. The window of the car.
You pointed deliberately and shot the side screen?
Yes.
What did the neighbor say?
When he came over to the house, he was obviously furious, and he's like, Mr. Khan, what have I done to your son? Why did he do this to me? So I had no answer. I was just sitting with my head down, you know. I didn't quite know what to say. I mean, me and my cousin were kind of chuckling, you know, under our breath, and and he was just going on and on and on, and it was quite funny, you know. I mean,
you were also fascinated at that time with cars and planes.
Still am, yeah.
A fast car freak.
Fast car freak.
But your sister says that around the time when you were 13, every time the family got a new car, you'd prang it up.
Yes, I was never given a car. Simply because, for one, I was too young, and my father he said he'd give me a car when I was 18, so my sister got a car when she was 16. She had to drive to college every day to town, so she was given a car, and I used to love driving, so I used to sneak her cars out and invariably bang them up, because I was learning at the cost of her car. And that was not pleasant, to say the least, because she was possessive of her car too. And
now, you left school and went to do business administration in America at Massachusetts University. Why business administration?
At that stage, I was not inclined towards the entertainment business. I mean, no, that's not entirely true. Actually, I was very interested in producing and directing movies. I was not inclined towards acting.
So the financial side rather than the acting career?
Yes. So I just thought a business degree would you know, prepare me to deal with producing, and at the same time I was taking on filmmaking courses and studying film, while I was there.
How old were you at this time? 19, 20?
I went around 20, 21.
Did you enjoy America at that age?
Oh yes, yes. Initially, I mean, I just loved the freedom. It was you know, being by yourself at that age, you know, totally independent for the first time in your life. You know, about 7,000 kilometers from home, or miles, I'm not sure. It's a great feeling, you know. You have this newfound sense of power. You know, you have control over your life and all your actions. So it was great initially, you know. I mean, it took time to kind of settle down, blend in. But it was, I think, looking back, it was one of the greatest learning experiences of my life. I mean, it literally helped me find myself, you know, as a person and my own identity.
Looking back, do you think you would have found yourself the same way had you stayed on in Bombay, living with the family? Or did you need this opportunity to just be on your own?
I think I needed it. I mean, maybe subconsciously that's what drove me to go to America. Going back to your first question, having stayed back, I'm not so sure if I would have found myself in the same way as I did when I was in America. Excuse me. I mean, being son of a celebrity, you know, it's you're constantly living in their shadow, you know. I mean, you're always known as their son or daughter, and everything's done for you because you're so-and-so son or daughter.
So the anonymity of America was actually thrilling.
Yes, it was great, as I said.
You were Fardeen Khan, not Feroz Khan's son.
I was nobody.
So
yeah,
how much
Fardeen,
of the Fardeen sitting in front of me today is a product of those 4 years in America?
Can't give you a percentage, but a lot of it.
And yet you came back and joined the very world in a sense that you were escaping from. Isn't that a bit of an anomaly?
I wouldn't go so far as to say I was escaping from it. I mean, maybe for personal reasons, but not as in something I wanted to do or something I was interested in doing. I mean, I was very interested in producing and directing. I still am very interested. Just landed up acting instead.
Let's take a break and try and find out how it is you landed up acting instead. We'll be back in just a couple of moments. Stick with us. Welcome back. My guest is Fardeen Khan. We stopped at the end of part one at just the point when you were about to become an actor. So let me ask you the question everyone must be thinking. How did a business graduate end up as a Bollywood actor?
Been often asked that before. I took a few acting courses when I was in university in America, while I was studying film theory and filmmaking.
So the bug was already beginning to bite in America?
No, I had my reasons for it. I believe I was thinking purely from a director's point of view. I believe it was very important for a director to understand acting because essentially he has to communicate through his actors. I mean, that's his basic raw material. So I decided to take on some acting courses, you know, to understand acting better. And that just you know, ignited an interest in acting. And
so have you forgotten directing now completely? Or is
No.
acting just a stepping stone still?
I'd say directing is my first love.
Really?
Yeah.
You are determined and committed to be a director one day?
Oh yes, definitely.
But for now, is acting serious or still just a stepping stone?
No, it's a very serious business. I mean, it's something I truly enjoy doing. I mean, I love some parts of it. There's some parts of it that are painful, but
Which are the painful bits?
I guess it's just the system here is a bit taxing at times. The way things work, the way films are made.
You mean the fact that they happen in a haphazard way?
The pace at which we work, you know, we're doing 3-4 films a year. I mean, I'm working about 320 days a year. It's more actually. It's insane. You know, it just gets to you. I mean, sometimes it just doesn't make acting a very pleasurable experience as much as it looks great.
So when
you see the
Fardeen
final
Khan
product.
becomes a director, will you try and get the system right?
I'm not here to change the system. Just make it work better for me and what I want to do.
The interesting thing is that, you know, when you entered the system, as you call it, you entered it as Feroz Khan's son. Did that make it easier, or in a strange way did it make it much more difficult?
What I mean, As I've been asked before, I've said it's a double-edged sword. At sometimes, I mean, at some points, it opens doors for you. I mean, which a person without a film background probably would not dream of.
But does it not also raise expectations and
Yes,
increase the pressure?
that's the essential other point of it. You know, I mean, everyone sees you. I mean, taking into account my case, I mean, my father's got a really strong image, and you know, I mean, it's just his fans would look forward to his son who's going to come acting. So I mean, they're bound to draw parallels between the two of us, you know, and if you don't meet those expectations, I mean, you're in for trouble. So I mean, it just takes, I think, a few films to find yourself as an actor, to find your own image. I think you have to just view it very objectively, you know. I mean, as it's taken me. I mean, today, I mean, when I look at my father's films, I look at my own work. I mean, we have two very different images.
But you know, you're very right when you say it takes a few films to find your feet and to find your way as an actor, because your first film, Prem Magan, wasn't considered a great hit.
No, it didn't do well at all. No.
Did that disappoint?
It's disappointing. I mean, it's something you work on for so long. I mean, something you have so much hope from. You know, it's your first time out, and when it doesn't work, it's disappointing. I mean,
they said things such as, he's a bit wooden and he can't handle emotion. Were they being unfair looking back from today's standpoint?
I still hear that sometimes, to be honest with you. I still hear that, but I don't know. I'm more into very realistic acting. I don't quite like to dramatize my emotions too much. So
they were used to the overacting that is sort of a Bollywood hallmark,
yes.
isn't it?
So I would turn around and say, capture it then, you know.
Yet the irony is that
put the ball in the other court.
At the same time as criticizing your performance, you also got the Filmfare Award for the best debut of the year. Wasn't that a bit contradictory?
Life's full of contradictions, man. What do you want me to say?
Except this is a contradiction you were only too happy to have.
Yes.
Your great second break, in a sense, came with Ram Gopal Varma when he offered you a role in Jungle. Is it true that you both met by accident at a friend's party?
Yes.
So fate intervened, in a sense?
I guess so. Not a great believer in fate, but I guess, yes, it intervened.
He says that the most amusing thing was when you went for your first audition. Do you remember it?
Yes.
Well, tell me about it.
It was nerve-wracking, to say the least. Because he had a very specific character in mind, and you know, my career was not going great guns at that point, and you know, it was make or break for me. So leading up the first few days before, it was a harrowing experience. You know, it's like, what if things don't work out? I'm screwed. I got to think of another profession, another job, blah blah blah. All these thoughts were going through my mind. And then eventually, when it actually came to it, you know, I just cleared my head. I took 10 minutes out, sat in my garden, just thought about everything. I said, "This is your one shot. Don't let all the other factors bother you. So just give it your best, and you know, the rest would take care of itself."
And it worked.
It worked.
He says the only problem, though, was your Hindi.
Yes. It's not flawless, to say the least.
What did you do to make the accent and the vocabulary sound perfect? Because it sounds pretty close to perfect now in the movies.
I mean, I still work on it. You know, it's.
When you
I mean,
stand
Hindi,
in front of a mirror reciting all the different words you're going to pronounce.
No. It's more. I mean, it's the key with any language. I mean, especially when you're acting, is to start thinking in that language, and not searching for words while you're acting. You know, so. And that is something I've never done, because, I mean, English has been my first language at home, at school, with all my friends.
So you started forcing yourself to think in Hindi?
When I was acting, yes. I mean, I still think in English otherwise, most of the times.
So that was your way of actually becoming the role and becoming the person, because it's a Hindi role you were playing?
Yes. I mean, it's just being comfortable with it, you know. I mean, feeling the words. I mean, it's like we're very when we speak a language we're extremely comfortable with, it becomes, I mean, it's a subconscious thing that we associate certain emotions. We don't have to think about stressing on a certain emotion when we speak a certain word or in a certain sentence.
Because you're comfortable.
Because you're very, very comfortable with it. It's something you've been doing. So when you actually get into a foreign language, I mean, you have to make that seem inherent, you know, and it takes
Well, you've
time.
certainly
It's
done
not
it very
easy.
well, because Jungle led to Pyar Tune Kya Kiya, and you've not just had a lot of fame, but you've been flooded with offers. Does it worry you, though, that at this point in time, when you're clearly quite successful, people sometimes say it's his looks rather than his acting ability that's really scored a point?
Well, looks are an important part of this business. I mean, there's no doubt about that. People consider me good looking. I'm fortunate. I'm blessed in that sense. But then again, there are a lot of. I mean, you simply cannot take away someone's talent.
So what sort of roles are you looking for now?
Right now, I'm doing a lot of romantic stuff. Lot of love stories,
Which blend in with the good looks.
which.
The chocolate box lover, they call you.
Chocolate box lover. I haven't heard that one before. I don't know.
Sounds like a sticky sweet, actually, doesn't it?
Yeah. Gotta make
I
changes
read
with
somewhere
that.
that you want to be Dracula.
Not I want to be. I said the character fascinates me. I mean, especially Bram Stoker's Dracula. The character fascinated me, and I just think it was such a complex character. So I said somewhere that I'd love to play a character like Dracula. So hey.
Side by side with wanting to be Dracula, your friends say that he's actually a hidden romantic. Are you romantic?
Me, I don't really have any fixed notions of romance, so I don't really have any fixed notions of being romantic.
Not roses and candlelight dinners?
Not necessarily. I think romance
Whoops,
is.
your friends misunderstand you.
I think romance is just going out of your way to show someone that you really care for them. I mean, it could be done in the most simplest way rather than making it a big deal.
You're not a showy person.
Not at all. No.
The big question on everyone's lips these days seems to be, when's Fardeen going to get married? Is marriage imminent?
Marriage. When the time's right, when I'm settled as a person. Right now, I mean, I'm still at the threshold of my career. I mean, I have a lot to do. You know, it's something that'll happen when the time's right.
But you're not rushing into it.
No.
Have you found someone that you want to marry, or is it just something that will happen one day when it does?
Something that'll happen one day when it does. I mean, I really don't dwell into
So
that aspect of my life in any of my interviews. I'm not
So
going to go any further.
here's a signal going to all those hundreds of girls who look upon you as the chocolate box lover, to quote the phrase. There's still a chance for them.
Well, we'll have to wait and see.
Fardeen, thank you very much for talking to me, and thank you for being so open.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.